Hey guys, what is up? Hope everyone's having a great day. So, Stevie and I just finished the live stream going over the testimony of Jen Howell when she did her deposition for the trial. And so this video is her witness statement. So live stream is testimony. This video is a witness statement. Let's get right into it. Okay, so this is the witness statement for Jennifer Howell. I'm the founder of a nonprofit organization that I have run for 23 years called the Art of Elysium. We take an artist and help them be of service to communities in need. We serve over 30,000 individuals in need each year. Unless stated otherwise, the facts and matters referred to in this witness statement are within my own knowledge and are true, or they are true to the best of my knowledge, information, and belief based on sources stated within this witness statement. I make this witness statement in response to the evidence given under cross-examination by Whitney Henriquez during the trial of these proceedings on July 23, 2020. I understand that the appellant will seek to rely upon it in his appeal. There are now produced and shown to me a paginated bundle of documents marked JH1 to which I referred below. My relationship with Whitney Henriquez and Amber Heard. Every year, the Art of Elysium holds the Heaven Gala in Los Angeles. It is usually a big event in January, held on the night before the Golden Globes. I believe that Amber first came to the gala in 2008 or 2009, which I believe is when I first met her. Johnny Depp also attended the gala a few times, and I had met him at them. I met Whitney Henriquez through Amber Heard. I believe I met her at an event she had attended with Amber. The first time she and I had only a one-on-one interaction is when she came to the Art of Elysium's art salons to discuss potentially using the space for a bridal shower for Amber. During this meeting, she told me how excited she was that Amber was marrying Johnny and how excited she was to put together a bridal shower for her sister. During this meeting, she told me about her previous work experience, doing events, bar management, and the like. I told her the plans of expanding the art salons into an art program for the charity and that I would love to discuss bringing her on board to manage the salons once we had funding to do so. Whitney was excited by the opportunity and shortly thereafter began volunteering with the art salons before we were able to officially offer her a job. She began volunteering around the 28th of August 2014 and was formally employed by the Art of Elysium as an art salon manager-director shortly before the 2015 Heaven Gala. In January 2015, at this Heaven Gala, the Art of Elysium honored Amber with the Spirit of Elysium Award. She was nominated by one of the Art of Elysium staff who coordinated the volunteering and who nominated Amber as she was good with the children, particularly as she was bilingual so she could speak to them both in Spanish and English, and in sign language. I am still grateful for her support of our charity. Around this time, I was invited to an engagement party for Amber and Johnny. I knew nothing about Amber's personal life behind closed doors until later, as I got to know Whitney better, which happened naturally during the course of her employment at the Art of Elysium. I still consider Whitney to be my dear friend, and she has told me that I am her chosen sister. I also called her my chosen sister. She meant this in the context of wishing that she could choose me as her family instead of the sister she was given by blood. March 2015 to January 2016. During the course of her employment, as a result of working together closely in our offices, Whitney began to disclose information about Amber's behavior. For example, while Amber and Johnny were in Australia, in which I believe must have been early March 2015, Whitney was sitting near the kitchen in our office and suddenly proclaimed loudly, "Oh my God, she's done it now. She's cut off his fucking finger." I have since read Amber's testimony during the trial in London, and I understand that Amber claims that Johnny accidentally cut part of his own finger off, which is contrary to what I was told by Whitney at that time. At that time, Whitney was living in a penthouse at the Eastern Columbia building, where her sister and Johnny lived. Later that year, she asked to come and stay with me. She ended up living with me in the guest room of my apartment on Wilshire Boulevard in a queen-size bed. She stayed with me for a number of months in 2015 and into 2016. I cannot recall exactly when Whitney moved in or when she moved out, as I did not keep records at the time and had no reason to think I needed to. It is also difficult for me to remember when and how long Whitney was staying in my apartment because she seemed to fall out and make back up with Amber on a number of occasions. And so I do not think she stayed with me for only one uninterrupted period of time. But there was one longer period of time, which I believe fell into the second half of 2015 and the early part of 2016. My job also requires me to travel a lot, and so I was not at my apartment for the entire period Whitney was staying with me. I no longer have a record of my text conversations with Whitney at that time, which was her main method of communication. As I have since changed my phone provider, I have found emails between January 11th and March 6, 2016, which suggested that Whitney was still living with me at that time. Copy of those emails are enclosed, pages 1 to 3. Although I also believe that she and Amber were reconciled in January of 2016 as they both came to the Art of Elysium Heaven Gala. When she arrived, it was one evening and Whitney was a mess. She told me she had tried to stop Amber from hitting and attacking Johnny during an argument on the stairs. Whitney said when she tried to stop Amber from hitting and attacking Johnny, Amber nearly pushed her, Whitney, down the stairs. She told me she was worried Amber was going to kill Johnny. She told me she had endured that kind of abuse her entire life, first from her father and then from Amber, who she said was extremely violent. As she told me this, she was inconsolable. I cannot remember if she had anything with her when she arrived at my apartment that evening, but I think she had to go back to the Eastern Columbia building at some stage to get some more clothes and her things. At the time, I believed that Whitney was telling me about an event which had just happened. However, I understand from reading about it in the trial in London, which I did after Whitney referred to me in her evidence, that an incident involving Whitney, Amber, and Johnny on the stairs in the penthouse at the Eastern occurred in late March of 2015. I do not believe that that was early in 2015 when Whitney came to stay with me, but I cannot say for sure. If it was later, I cannot say whether I misunderstood when thinking that the stairs incident had just happened or if Whitney gave the wrong impression. She lived with me because she told me she did not feel that she could go back to live at the Eastern Columbia building. She told me that she had fallen out with her sister badly and no longer wanted to be involved with her at that time. My father recently reminded me that I had told him that Whitney had moved in with me because she was terrified of her sister. I remember one time Whitney had returned from New York, where I think she had been for a premiere or the Tribeca Film Festival. She shared with me and nearly everyone in the office that during the trip, Amber had freaked out, attacked her, Whitney, and had thrown a wine glass full of red wine at her in an elevator. I believe it would have been April 2015, as that is when the Tribeca Film Festival takes place. I think this must have been before Whitney moved in with me for the longer period of time, as I doubt that Whitney would have gone with her sister if it was just after she came in to live with me. While Whitney was living with me, she told me Johnny kept checking in to see how she was doing and that he called her sis and she called him brother. I obviously did not see any of her messages. Whitney was always singing his praises and said that Johnny was more of a brother to her than Amber was a sister. Whitney said to me on multiple occasions that she did not know why he was staying in the relationship, nor why he was putting up with Amber's abuse. Whitney shared with me the damage endured by both her and Amber as children from their parents. While living with me, Whitney started sharing with me the magnitude of everything which had happened with her and Amber, not only with me, but with people in our office. Whitney told me so much about Amber at that time, I had to tell her I didn't want to know anymore. I knew that at some point Amber would be back in her life and I would have to see and speak to Amber, and I didn't want to have to interact with her knowing all of the awful things Whitney had said she had done. In light of how much she told me and others about Amber and Johnny, I have no doubt that if Johnny had ever laid a hand on Amber, we would have been told about it. If she hadn't told me that Johnny headed Amber, I would have been down there with the cops and social workers to get her out of there. I am embarrassed and deeply regret not doing the same kindness for Johnny. Whitney's employment at the Art of Elysium came to an end shortly after Heaven in January 2016 as a part of wider layoffs at the time because we no longer had the budget to employ her. At the time, a donor had made a pledge, which we had based our entire budget on, but the pledge was not paid. That sounds familiar, doesn't it? Amber had gotten into legal trouble regarding smuggling her dogs into Australia. She asked me to write her a character reference about her charity work, and I did so. A copy of that reference is enclosed. We had given her a humanitarian award a year earlier, and I still feel grateful for her support of the Art of Elysium. even if by then I felt very protective of Whitney and was concerned about Amber's behavior. Whitney also asked me to write the letter on behalf of her sister. I deeply regret writing that letter at this point in time. Contact with Whitney and Amber in 2019. Later, when Amber and Johnny were divorcing that summer, $7 million of the proceeds from the divorce was supposed to go to charity. I learned that none of it would be directed to the Art of Elysium, which Amber had been closely associated with for years. Instead, I understood it would go to the ACLU and LA Children's Hospital. I was disappointed at the news and asked Amber's publicist why, when she said Amber had been so eager to use our name in the press during the divorce and when the funds would mean so much to a small organization like ours. Would Amber direct all the money to these other two huge charities that she has not been associated with? Amber's only volunteering opportunities at CHLA were while she was volunteering as one of the Art of Elysium artists for our program. Oh my goodness. Amber's publicist told me that they were more prominent charities with a more significant press reach and got international press. On January 9th, 2018, a $250,000 check came into our organization from an anonymous donor, with the note stating it was made on behalf of Amber Heard. The funds did not come from Amber, but from Fidelity Charitable. A copy of the check received is enclosed at exhibit blah, blah, blah. I was very grateful for the donation. I knew Amber and Whitney's mother, Paige Heard, through Whitney. I visited Whitney at her house on February 9th, 2019, shortly after she had given birth to her son, Hunter. Paige was there with her. During the visit, Paige shared that Elon Musk had gifted Amber a Tesla, or multiple Teslas, not sure, but Amber had told her that she had found out that they were bugged. Paige also made other private disclosures to me about Amber and Elon's relationship. Paige said that she wished Amber and Johnny would reconcile and she had broken up because Amber was violent and emotional and loved Johnny so much that she could not control it. She said that the restraining order Amber obtained in 2016 was only due to the attorney's advice. Whitney told me that Amber and Johnny were each other's true loves, or something to that exact sentiment. I was taken aback by this conversation. Whitney was still going through the emotions of having had a baby and all of those ups and downs, and I could not believe that Amber and Johnny's relationship was being discussed while Whitney was the one who needed to be the focal point and needed our support. The last I saw Whitney in 2019, I was in contact with Whitney by text message in 2020, but with everything going on with the pandemic, we didn't see each other as we had previously done. July 2020. I did not follow the trial in London between Johnny and the son. On July 24th, 2020, I was called by someone who wishes to remain anonymous to tell me that Whitney had mentioned me while testifying in court in these proceedings in London and had said something about sleeping on my floor. I was told and have since read Whitney's testimony, during which she recalled a violent incident of March of 2015 on the stairs at Johnny Depp's penthouse. She testified that Johnny supposedly hit Amber and Whitney on the stairs at Johnny's downtown penthouse. Whitney also said that she had to go live with her employer. I am that employer. As stated above, she stayed in my guest room in a queen-size bed, not on the floor or a couch. And the incident on the stairs, which she had described to me in 2015, was the opposite to what she told the court. After hearing about this, I agonized over whether to come forward with what I knew. I had not come forward before this because I had not appreciated what I knew was relevant. I couldn't believe what Whitney had lied in that way. In the end, I spoke to Christy, Johnny's sister, whom I had met through the Art of Elysia chairman years ago. Christy asked me if I would give a statement. I said I would only be comfortable doing so if I had a subpoena. I expressed to her my deepest apologies for not coming forward before Whitney took the stand, and I had known what she would say under oath. I would have done something. Later that day, I received a subpoena from Johnny's attorney, Adam Waldman. I said in my U.S. declaration that I received 2 subpoenas from Adam, but I have since checked my records and I have realized that I have 2 copies of the same subpoena. The following day, on July 25th, I spoke with Adam. I told him my experiences with Whitney, Paige, and Amber Heard, including what Whitney had told me and what I believed was the immediate aftermath of the argument on the stairs, which contradicted what Whitney has said in court. He asked me to give the declaration for the case in Virginia, which I agreed to do. We worked on it during the course the next day. A copy of the final version that I signed is enclosed. After speaking to Adam on July 25th, I called Tash Brooks, who was Whitney's best friend and another employee of mine at the Art of Elysium. When I told her I was giving evidence in response to what Whitney had said on the stand, she fell apart. She said that Amber had convinced Whitney to lie for her. Tash told me that before traveling to London, Whitney was so worried about the trial that she was physically ill and her hair was falling out. I felt awful for Whitney. Whitney's son was only a year old at the time, so I cannot imagine how difficult it was for Whitney. But from all the things that she talked about back in 2015, I assumed that she was doing her sister's bidding. At around 3 a.m. on July 26, 2020, Whitney texted me. She asked me if it was true I was giving evidence to Johnny's legal team. Clearly, I'd gotten back to her what I was preparing to explain what she had told me. I responded telling her that she had chosen to mention me up on the stand in court and that she should know that I would always tell the truth. She wrote back saying that Adam Waldman is trying to destroy her family's lives and that I had been lied to. I did not respond, but instead wrote her a letter informing her that I had received subpoenas, that I had spoken to Adam, and that I'd given him my account. In my letter, I told Whitney that I had taken the subpoenas to get me to be forthcoming about what I had been told. I told her this at the time, as I did not want her to think I had betrayed her trust by providing my evidence without being compelled. In fact, I had told Christy that I would provide my testimony, but only if I was subpoenaed. I then wrote an email to Whitney on July 28th, to which I attached my letter. I followed up with another email half an hour later after reading Whitney's statement to the press in which she said my declaration was untrue. The press reported statements from Whitney saying, "This is a complete fiction. Jennifer Howell's statement does not bear any relationship to the truth, and I have no idea why she is saying this." Oh, God. My correspondence with Whitney is enclosed. Whitney has not responded, and I have not heard from her since. Yeah, of course you haven't. I had hoped that Tash and my other employees at the Art of Elysium, who had heard that Whitney had said back in 2015 about Amber, would speak out. Tash has since told me that Amber is paying for her, Tash's attorney, and for some of my other employees and former employees' attorneys, and that they are being advised to oppose any subpoenas from Johnny's lawyers. I've spoken with one of the Art of Elysium's former employees who has told me that he was contacted by Whitney and Tash and told to avoid telephone calls from certain numbers, and if he was contacted by any attorneys, that he should say he does not recall anything and does not know why I'm saying these things. They told him that I must be being paid to give false testimony, which is entirely untrue. Oh my goodness. On August 7th, 2020, Leslie Culp, one of the Art of Elysium's employees, received a subpoena from Amber's U.S. attorneys for me and a second one for the Art of Elysium. The subpoena from Amber's attorneys seeks copies of our entire server, financials, text messages, and staff information. Copies of subpoenas are enclosed. We have opposed this. I believe they were trying to suggest that I've been paid off financially, incentivized to lie for Johnny. That is not true. If I were to be motivated in any way by money, Amber had a $250,000 donation made to us in her honor, and that amount is far more than any amount Johnny has ever donated to the charity. My motivation in starting the charity was to have a servant's heart and to be of service to those in need, and through art transcend any circumstance an individual is facing. Part of a servant's heart is to do what's right, even when it's hard. I wish to make clear that I have only met Johnny a handful of times at our events, once or twice at the Eastern Columbia building with Amber, and once at a birthday party for Amber. I have no loyalty to Johnny or any reason to lie for him. My loyalty is to Whitney, as I can't stand the position she has been put in, and I'm so upset for her that she felt she had to lie in court for her sister. Coming forward as a witness in the U.S. proceedings prompted the subpoenas being issued against the Art of Elysium, which has a legal bill for the nonprofit organization of over $60,000. I have no financial or other reason to lie or support Johnny. I have received no gifts or donations from Johnny or anyone associated with him, and the Art of Elysium has received no recent donations from him. Johnny did donate $25,000 to the Art of Elysium in 2015, the same year that Amber was honored at the Heaven Gala. He also did a benefit concert in January of 2016. This was an annual event which benefits 2 or 3 charities. The Art of Elysium was one of the 2 charities chosen that year. The donations from that event came from a sponsor of the evening, ticket sales, and silent auction items. No donations came from Johnny or any of his companies or affiliates directly. Johnny also donated a lot of musical instruments as an in-kind donation while he and Amber were together. The Art of Elysium has not received any donations from Johnny since his divorce from Amber. My interest in coming forward to give evidence in these proceedings is justice and ensuring that the truth comes out. If my loyalty is to anyone, it is to Whitney, who I continue to be very fond of and was very concerned to hear that she had lied under oath in London during the trial. While living with me, Whitney told me that she has spent her whole life cleaning up her sister's messes, and this appears to be another example. Jennifer Howell. Okay, so interesting that all of it's very interesting, very, very interesting that I just don't know how Whitney thought that that was going to fly. I don't know how she thought that lying about something like that, and if she knows Jen, if she is her chosen sister, wouldn't one assume that Whitney would know damn well, if she's my chosen sister, I know this woman quite well, and this woman speaks up for the truth. If she sees a wrong and she knows the truth about said wrong, she's going to speak up. What if she speaks up about me? I am just so amazed that they actually thought that they could actually get away with this. Now, I don't know how much pressure Whitney was under. I do feel bad for Whitney. I do believe that she has just been Amber's punching bag her entire life, and this is just a continuation of that. But to lose all your friends because of your sister's shenanigans is just ridiculous. But anyway, when Jen said that they had to let a lot of people go because they were promised a big chunk of money, they were promised a donation, and that pledge was never fulfilled. Why put that in there, right? Why put that in there? She could have just said, we just didn't have the money to keep everybody on. We had to do mass layoffs. It sucked. To put that in tells me that that money was the divorce money that she was supposed to get. Jen earmarked it for probably an entire year or maybe even 2 to have that ripped away because you weren't quote unquote big enough. You know what? The Art of Elysium within Hollywood is massive. She's a big name. Like if you just Google Art of Elysium, it's Hollywood. So the fact that Amber didn't want to be attached to that, it was the name. It was how big can I get? How big can I go with this? And Art of Elysium just isn't it. She's like, well, I've already conquered Hollywood. In her head, I've already conquered Hollywood. So next, rest of the world, I'm going to take over the ACLU and the CHLA. But also, and there, how the CHLA. The only way Amber was ever part of it was within you working with the Art of Elysium. Did she not say that she was volunteering for the CHLA for 10 years? And that's why she chose them. Nothing but lies, man. Nothing but lies. If she told the truth for once, if Amber actually told the truth, if she actually told the truth, I'm pretty sure that the earth would like go off its axis. I'm pretty sure, because she can't do it. She can't. It's impossible. She cannot tell the truth. So I'm going to put the link in the description box below for the Art of Elysium, because as we know, Jen got hit pretty bad financially because of all this. And she was just, and she didn't want to be part of this. She got roped in, unfortunately. So no pressure at all. Not, I'm just putting it there as an option that if you want to donate to the Art of Elysium, it is there for you. So on that note, I'll see you guys next time. I'll be back with more videos, and I just say, just keep being kind to yourselves, and I'll see you guys next time.